was born in southern part of India in a city called Madras. Then grew up in Delhi, so my parents migrated to the north. I did my Bachelor of Honours in Political Science from Delhi University. I worked as a journalist, so that was my very first job. Arranged marriages are not uncommon in countries like India, and very much true to the tradition. I too had an arranged marriage and then migrated to Australia in 1991. Migrating to a new country is a challenging time for any family. I had a 18-month-old baby in my arms, and we didn't have a job. And in those days, we could only carry about 500 Australian dollars. That's all that was allowed. We came in August 91 to Darwin. Way back in 91, those who were in the territory then, the Darwin airport was being rebuilt, refurbished. So we got down in Darwin airport and there was a makeshift marquee or a tent. That was the airport. For women, it is particularly a challenging time when you are new to a migrant country. My daughter was still very young, so I chose to stay at home till she went to preschool. Didn't find anything straight away, so I volunteered with Red Cross at the Royal Darwin Hospital. Then there was an opening, the administration of RDH, so I worked in the admin for a little while. I was then interested in pursuing further studies in order to upskill myself, and decided to do a diploma or an advanced diploma and certificate in early childhood education. And when I started doing that, I decided to work with family daycare and stayed at home and looked after 2 other children along with my own daughter, which brought me some income as well as gave me an opportunity to stay home to look after my daughter as well. Once I finished my advanced diploma, I decided to do my master's in education from NTU, and then went over to the US for a year and studied my modern Montessori primary teacher training degree from Mountain View in California. And I think that's very, very important for every woman to have some kind of a plan and understanding of where they want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Otherwise, the day-to-day routine of looking after the family takes over, and quite often we as women forget who we are or what we want to be, and focus on the children or the partner or the parents or the parents-in-law. And in all of that, we forget ourselves. I'm not suggesting we forget any or all of that, but it's important to remember what you want to be and who you are and where you want to be in the future. To me, when I held my daughter in my arms for the very first time, perhaps was the most meaningful moment. This is somehow mine, and this baby is here in my arms, totally, completely dependent on me. Perhaps was the most profound moment. And as a woman, you have various roles in your life. You're a daughter, you're a wife, you're a sister, you're a mother, you're a grandmother, you're a friend, you're everything. But to me, in all of those roles, the most significant role for me continues to be today is that of a mother to my beautiful daughter. Australia and Darwin community in general has provided me with immense opportunities over the last 26 years, and I hope to be part of providing something in return to the Darwin community and Australia at large for being this gracious. So hoping that I can be part of that journey for other women and continue to pursue my own dreams in my career. I've never stopped upskilling or getting new qualifications and staying relevant. You come to a stage where you find yourself being stagnant, and that's the time when you need to reinvent yourself and re-inspire yourself, if I can use a term. And I've just finished my second master's, this time in business administration. And I'm sure 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'll be pursuing something else. So you never stop learning. You're a lifelong learner. So, and you learn, and you hope to share that learning with others.
My name is Jane Alia, and I arrived in Australia just before my early teens. And I was born in Uganda, but my parents are originally from South Sudan. Yeah, as a young person, you sort of have dreams. You want to be who you are because you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a nurse because you look up to someone, or your auntie's a nurse, or your auntie's whatever. But mine is not like that. I love health and sciences, I guess, and I've always wanted to do sort of like medicine or, anything to help. But when I arrived here as a young person and I did my dental assisting course in year 10, I sort of fell in love with dentistry and oral health as general. And then I had a very first encounter where I had to actually go back home where my dad was born. And by that time, my grandmother fell really, really ill. And she was admitted in the hospital. And so I had the opportunity to go and visit her. So what happened was I saw, people didn't have enough health services. For example, women were just lying down there, young girls, getting pregnant or having babies. They didn't have enough resources and all that. So my inspiration for nursing really came about that. So Mom works with MCNT, as a lot of you know. And by that time, we had a youth group with Darwin Community Arts. It was called Youth Blast, I think. So Mom had a friend who was working with the young people in that area. And so she basically introduced me to this lady who introduced me to the youth group. And I think that's how I somehow got involved with young people and the community itself. And then I got involved with my NT, Multicultural Youth NT, which I never left because you just learn so much as a young person. Getting work sometimes is really difficult. You finish your degree and you apply for work and they say you need at least 6 months experience. And then you're like, how am I supposed to get the 6 months of experience when you're not employing me? People say money is evil, and it's true and false at the same time. And I think sometimes as a lady, you sort of need to stand up on your feet. And I know, for example, back home, women have to, be at home and look after their family and all that. But the culture that we're living in here is very different. If you're not working, for example, how are you going to support your partner? Or how are you going to help your kids to go to school or food? Imagine your partner is not there. And something goes wrong and you're not working or you don't have enough money to support your family. How are you going to survive? I went to Women of the World Festival where I was speaking and I was presenting. Just seeing the room full of women sharing their stories, because I think as women we have sort of similar stories. We all have different stories, but when we come together, we find out that they're actually quite similar. You might find out that, the other lady is going through this, and this lady is going through this, and I'm actually going through that now. And just seeing women together, I think the encouragement that they give each other. And women are so strong, they're just full of love. I don't know, I think as a young lady, observing that has been really meaningful to me, yeah. You sort of have to know where you're coming from. I think that's integral because it builds you up, it makes you who you are. Because without your past, what have you got? I think knowing who you are and also, respecting yourself and respecting others around you is quite integral. And when you move to a new place, there are lots of challenges. And I think finding the right information, finding the right resources, and also for a young girl, you know, associating with the right peer group. Because sometimes when you're in the wrong group, your life might end somewhere else. Because if you come here as a young lady and you don't want to listen to your parents, what have you got? Your parents have always been there for you. They are there for you now, and they will always be there for you. So respecting your family, and you know, if you're struggling with something, approach your parents or someone that you trust. When I look back, I've somehow done okay with my life. The glory is to God. Really, I couldn't have done without the wisdom that He's given me. And I've achieved okay. You know, winning awards such as, you know, Excellency in Youth Leadership Award and School-Based Trainee of the Year, and going on to, you know, to the nationals to represent the Northern Territory, and ambassador for the Australian Training Awards in the Vet and Training section. At the same time, being the ambassador for World Refugee Week, Northern Territory. It's just been amazing. Like, honestly, I would not have done that without my family and friends and people that I've met in the wider Darwin community.
I come from the Philippines. My mom is Filipino, my dad's Chinese. I used to work as a specialist in the Philippines. I was an adult cardiologist in the Philippines. I did the fellowship exams in adult cardiology there as well. So I trained for about altogether maybe around 15 years to become a specialist in the Philippines. When we came here, we were initially thinking of doing some specialty program, but in the end we decided to work as GP. So we're still doctors, and GP is still a specialty here. It's just a different specialty from what we had in the Philippines, and there are differences in the Australian health system as compared to the Philippine health system. Darwin, mainly the reason why we came to Darwin is because my husband has some relatives here. We went to Melbourne initially and applied for a position there, but they didn't get back to us, and Darwin was we had an opportunity here to come and work as GPs under supervision, so we grabbed that opportunity. One common thing about Darwin and the Philippines is that the people are warm. That's what I noticed in Darwin, even though it's a very multicultural community, but the people are always ready to smile. In the Philippines, the people are always smiling as well. And here in Darwin, I see a lot of people who, from different cultures, different backgrounds, but we still say hello to each other. You see someone in the supermarket, you say, hi, and they said, hello, how are you doing? You know, it's very common for someone to greet each other. And we really, really love it here. It's not easy. If you studied here, if you have lots of money, you can study in Australia to become a doctor. But the fees for the medical school are very high. So you already have to have lots of money to be able to get into the Australian university to study to become a doctor. Some doctors who are already practicing in their own countries would also find it difficult to come here. The first thing they need to do is to study for the Australian Medical Council exams, and you have to pass those exams. They're not easy. You also have to have good English skills, and I know some doctors who already passed exams, but they don't pass their English exams. That's another hurdle that I think a lot of migrant doctors found difficult to do. The third problem is after you pass the exams, getting into a good job. So you can either go into the hospital and become one of the interns or medical officers, or you can try and be a GP. But to be a GP, there are strict requirements that you have to go through. You have to be assessed as being able to work safely, and which I understand should, because Australia is trying to protect the people, you need to be able to pass that strict safety measure before you can practice as a doctor. But there are websites that they can go to, and a lot of migrant doctors have set up like Facebook websites or groups that can help with migrant doctors as well. I was just looking at Facebook yesterday. Someone said a woman who thinks that they're equal with a man is mistaken. They're not equal. Women are far superior. I'm sorry. But they said women are far superior. When man gives woman something, the woman makes it bigger. So man helps the woman to form a baby, the woman helps take care of the baby. Man gives woman groceries, the woman makes a meal. Man gives woman a house, the woman makes it a home. So I think being a woman is very important in the community. We are the ones who give birth to children. We are the ones taking care of both our family, our friends, and we give support to everyone in our community. The great thing about women is that we have a lot of love to give. But to be able to give that love to someone else, to your family, friends, and the community, you need to love yourself. You need to be happy with who you are. You need to be happy with what you're doing. And once you're okay with that, then you can extend your love to everyone else.
I come from Nepal with not very big family, but I got married with a big family, very big family. He's got 4 brothers and 3 sisters. I got 2 sons. One is 28 years old, who works in CDU. He's an IT engineer. And 31 years old, my oldest son, he's working with me as a business partner. I work in childcare nearly 16 years, as I start from level 1 to manager, and then I left 5 years ago because my oldest son, he wanted to do business. That's why I just resigned and joined with him. That time is when we came in 1991. That time it's very hard to get a job in Australia. It's like economics was very down. And so when we applied the job, he's got a very good position, and he's got his main field like energy. That was, I think, Department of Energy. I don't know the name, it changed now. That's he got a job, the permanent and good position. That's why we have to move to Darwin, and we are the first one. It's very hard to move because we all got family and friends in Sydney, but that's the biggest. What we decided, and I think we've done very well. That's what we've done, The being a woman, I think you have to stand up for yourself. I don't know what will happen in the future, but anything happen, you have to fight yourself and you have to stand up for yourself. That's what you have to. And I know you need education. I know you have to have a good job. I think you have to. You can't say, I can't do it. I think we can do it. We are women. Not only I can do it, that man can do everything now. I don't think so. I don't have attitude like that. I got attitude, the man. We can do it. But I come from different culture, and I like the culture in Nepal, most of Nepal, that time, the daughter-in-law doesn't work. But I came here, study English, had I got 6, 7 certificate I got. And I had you have to put the goal and have to follow that one, and you can do anything. Most important things in women life is had an independent and have to like go outside and like study, learn, like do not hesitate to learn and do not hesitate to ask the help and support. They're always there for you, someone will help you. Most important, I am very independent person because I lost my mom when I was 12. I lost my dad when I was 18. And I think most important in your life is you have to stand up for yourself. Still my dream is to like expand my business. That's what I want to do it, like to put the world and in Australia and everywhere that, like as like a woman, I come from different country, I still can do it. I just want to show the people like, not like women are not very weak or anything, they can do it.
So my name is Mahongo. I was born in Zambia. Being born in Zambia for me, I think, was really a privilege because Zambia is a fairly stable country, and that means that I came here by choice. And as a teenager, I just dreamt of being a journalist. I saw a lot of chaos that were happening around the world, and I grew up watching CNN and the BBC, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to be a news reporter. I was privileged enough to work for one of the tabloids in Zambia. It was very, very popular. It was called The Post. So I did that really, really well until my employer said, Mahongo, we need people that can go to East Timor to work for the United Nations because the East Timorese will be having a referendum. At that time, East Timor was a part of Indonesia and there was a lot of atrocities. And I said, you know what? You are speaking my language. And the UN sent me a ticket and an induction file. So I did everything I had to do and I got on the plane and off to East Timor. And guess what my first stop was Darwin. People think that when you're running a business, somehow your family must suffer. I believe that there is a way to do those things better. I think it all depends on the values that you set for yourself. And I keep on telling myself, if I'm just totally doing my business and not doing what I should be doing as a mother or as a wife, then maybe it's not worth doing. I believe that whatever I do, whether I'm doing business, whether I'm talking to people, I need to do it in such a way that my family is not sacrificed in any shape or form. And I also believe in hard work. And I believe that it is not my job that defines who I am, because one day maybe I won't be able to do that job. But it's just who I am as a human being based on how I feel I am. And I just feel that I am entitled to whatever I need to achieve in my life. I'm entitled to success. I'm entitled to every opportunity that I can get. And that's a sort of perspective that I would like my children to have as well. People look at life and some women go, if only I could find a man who has the money and I could be this. For me, I believe that money, like any other thing, even success, does not choose based on your gender. And I think it's all right for women to be financially independent because you just never know what happens. I've had so many meaningful events that have happened in my life. Some of those include meeting my husband. I just believe that I'm married to the most romantic man in the world. And then the other special events that have happened in my life, the day I gave birth to my 2 boys. And to me, these were miracle babies because particularly for the first one, I was told that I could never have him. I was actually told that I was having a miscarriage and I just held on to hope. And when he was born, he was the most beautiful thing that I had ever seen in my life. To see him now, 12 years old, I look at that and I say, oh my goodness, the most beautiful thing that has ever happened to me in my whole life. So I think that those are really some of the special events that I've had in my life, and I'm very, very grateful. When I finished with the UN, I didn't even know that at the end of it, Kofi Annan, who was the Secretary General at that time, would sign my certificate to say that I have done such a good job being a civil servant, to East Timor. And that meant so much to me, and I've kept that little certificate. I still have it displayed just where I'm sitting here. I have won so many awards for public speaking. I'm actually the reigning champion for the Northern Territory. within Toastmasters, and I went to represent the Northern Territory not too long ago in Townsville. And this was the second time that I was doing that at that level. And to me, I think that is just something that I'm so grateful for, and I don't take for granted. I have also been recently nominated Telstra Business Woman of the Year. So I'm looking forward to that. But for me, just to be nominated is a great enough honor. And even if I didn't get that, I'd still be saying, wow, that was amazing. I'm so grateful that someone could think of me at that level.